I get on lunch grill, right? So get my fucking ass kicked every day again for that summer. I stayed through the winter, did my internship there. Then, time's coming up at school. It's about to be done. Tyler's moving on to New York. He's about to go work at Dovetail. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? At that time, you have a lot of emotions going through your head. You're like, what do I do with my life after college? Is cooking for me? Where do I go cook? My friend is cooking here. It's awesome. Where do I go? Am I a failure for cooking at this place? Should I have done this? There's a lot of doubt, a lot of I don't know, and it's hard to navigate that when you're 20 years old. You don't know what the fuck you're doing, especially when your family isn't around. You're living by yourself. You're paying rent. You're self-sustainable. So we sipping on this beer called Dark Sarcasm Porter by Barrel Brothers. It's fucking delicious. A guy named Andrew at Charter Oak gave it to me before I left. Didn't get to drink it in Napa, but now I'm drinking it. You know what I'm saying? So, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. Okay. I'm going to stop doing that now. So I'm working at Tortor's in Patago, and I need something else, right? And I hear through the grapevine about this chef called Jake Rojas, right? So Jake was a chef out of El Paso, Texas, and he was coming from Vegas. He had just done his time at Robuchon. That was a 3-star in Vegas when Vegas had the Michelin stars. So big deal to me, obviously. I'm like, holy fuck. 3 stars, he worked under those guys. He must be the shit, right? So I go there, and I wasn't even planning on going there. It was one day I was just like, I was on the ODBC, right? The ODBC is the Ocean Drive Blunt Cruise. It's in Newport, Rhode Island, right? And it's in the High Times magazine. So if you ever want to take a ride over there, you can smoke some weed and drive around that little path there. And it's a famous blunt cruise. There's mansions. There's a cliffside. There's water. You know what I mean? There's everything you need to see while you're getting high. All right? And driving. I don't condone that, by the way. No comment. So I went on this cruise, and then, I saw the restaurant, Tallulah on Thames. There's a sign. I drove right by it. And I was like, holy fuck, that's the restaurant that my buddy was telling me about, that this chef works at, right? So I said, when is a better time than fucking now to go there and try to see if I can get a job, right? And I had just smoked weed, right? So I'm like, but I didn't care at that night, because you don't care. You don't know where you're at. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you're like, man, whatever. Let me go do this, right? So I walk through the back door of the kitchen, and there's this guy named Todd and Anthony, and they're like, hey, I'm like, hey, is Chef Jake here? And he's like, oh, he's right there in the dining room. I go in there. They're closed that day. I think they were just prepping. And he was like, I'm like, hey, how are you? I think I want to take things to the next level. I work here, and I'd like to get better. I'd like to work here. And, he's like, let's have you stage, right? So I staged, and I remember we were in front of the house class, basically dining room class, and it was me and Tyler and Douglas Higley. What up, Doug, from Rhode Island? And I remember getting out, and I was super nervous, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go for this stage. And he was like, good luck, man. He was being a lunch lady at RISD, so he had a little bit of an easier, less stressful job than I was going to. So I go for my stage, and I sucked, obviously. I, couldn't really perform, right? Because I had never performed to the level that they wanted. I never used a spoon while I cooked. I used tongs, and so that was rough, right? And then at the end of the night, he's like, all right, you have 15 minutes to make me a plate. And I'm like, oh shit, right? So I'm shitting a brick right now. I never fucking cooked for anybody. So up until that point, I'm like, I'm super shy about my skills. I know I don't know shit, so I don't cook for fucking anybody. I don't cook at home, right? I don't cook. I'm just like afraid, right? I'm 21 years old and I'm fucking afraid. So I cooked this man. I took one of his risotto kits, and he's like, "You sure you want to do that?" And I did it anyway, right? And I just like, went sweet and sour with it. I picked some things off the pastry line, and I just like put this thing together, and it was probably gross, but he respected that I tried to do a risotto. After he was like, I know you're gonna fuck that up. Why do you want to do that kind of thing? And so I got the job, right? So I get the job. And I started at this restaurant, and I got my ass handed to me. And I'm talking about not by how busy we were, but by chef and his standards. This was like, full-on physical forming. Not hitting me, but like just like you move like this. You put your hands like this. You grab the spoon like this. You baste like this. You check the oven like this, right? Everything needs to be this way, right? One way. And they're just like me and Charlie talked about. It was the Tallulah way, the right way, the wrong way, right? And we were definitely doing things the fucking Tallulah way, right? And I just remember how important it was for us to practice those things over and over and over again. The form of what it is to cook, right? To have style and to make it look amazing, and that's not all you're focusing on, but it's part of what you're doing. You are, in the TKRG they say finesse. It's just the way you work is just clean. It's free. It's free of clutter. There's no redundancy in your movements. You know what I mean? So the way that he ran his kitchen was amazing, and everything. The first time in my life where the scissor, the labels were cut with scissors, right? Wherever I was, it was like you just fucking tear it with your hands. The labels always had jagged edges, and that was the first place where it was like you cut your fucking label with scissors, right, to make straight lines. And why do you do that? It's like because you've spent so much time working on your mise en place. Why wouldn't you spend the time to label it correctly and nicely, right? To just showing everything respect from A to Z when you do it, and that was the biggest part of the culture there. And part of the reason why I'm so successful today, or have my success. I'm not as successful as I fucking need to be, I'll tell you that much. But I definitely have gained knowledge and strength because of my time there, And we did cool things while we were there, We cooked at James Beard. Before that, though, funny story, I go to James Beard to eat, right? Me, Jake, Chef Jake, and Charlie Apple get on a fucking train in Rhode Island. We start drinking at 6 in the morning. So we're drinking at 6 in the morning, and we get to New York. It's about 9, right? We get breakfast. We're having mimosas. Like, we're fucking hammered all day long. We get to the James Beard house. We're about to eat a dinner cooked by Beau Vestal. And what's his name? He was a chef of Farmstead in Rhode Island, and he's also the chef of the Townsman in Boston. I really got to fucking get better at that. Just knowing the names of the fucking the people I'm fucking talking about. Might as well do the fucking Bill Burr shit and look this shit up right now. Fucking Townsman chef. Townsman Boston chef. Matt Jennings. There we go. Thank God for the goddamn internet. I'll tell you. So Matt Jennings, right? him and Bo Vestal are cooking a dinner at James Beard. We go, right? Me, Charlie, and Chef Jake. And we're fucking drunk, right? All of us are drunk. I'm hitting on old ladies on the dance floor. It's a mess. So we finally sit down, and I end up passing out at the table. I wake up every time they serve food, and I eat it. And that's the way that it rolls. You know, the whole time I'm there. It's hey, are you almost done? Yeah. They take the plate, and then they bring the next thing. I wake up, eat that plate, they clear it, bring the next one. I wake up, eat that plate, pass out, they clear it. So that happens the whole entire fucking dinner, right? After that, we went and did more drinking, and I think I slept at the restaurant, so I was fine after, right? So I got my rest, okay? So after that, I'm basically hammered drunk, whatever. We eat, we leave, and it was just a memorable night in New York. After that, fast forward a year later, we're cooking at James Beard, right? Chef Jake is cooking at James Beard. We're with him. And I remember the anxiety of cooking that dinner because I had anxiety, right? You have anxiety. You can't sleep because you're like, how are those pork loins going to be? How is this going to be? And, Chef Jake and them put us up in hotel rooms, and I knew that was a big thing for them. That wasn't easy. And they did that for us, and truly appreciate it. And they took us out to dinner, and it was fucking fabulous. And we cooked that night, and that night I'm cooking these pork loins, right? I'm having a great time, and not having a great time. I'm shitting a brick is what I'm doing, but that to me was a great fucking time, right? And all of a sudden this lady walks in and she's pointing at me, and I'm like, what the fuck, this lady, who is this lady? She's pointing at me, she's like, you. And I'm like, excuse me? She's like, you. I was at the table last year with you eating dinner. And I was like, holy shit, because I knew what she was going to say. You passed out. She's like, you ate all of our bread, you drank all of our water, and you fell asleep during every step of service. Every time there was food in front of you, you were awake. But every time that there was any downtime and there was no food, you were sleeping. And I thought that was fucking hilarious. And she said, to this day, one of the best James Beard dinners she's ever been to. So, shout out to that lady. I had no idea what her name is or where she is now, but definitely had a great fucking time both times, eating there and cooking. But just, full circle. Life comes around and lets you know that you were a jackass a year ago. You know what I'm saying? So, at this point, in Tallulah's tenure, we cook James Beard, come back. It's spring, right? We pick asparagus one morning. Chef Jake breaks his ankle, right? I'm the veg cook at the time. Charlie Apple's the meat cook, right? And Annabelle Atkins is on pastry. And he breaks his leg. First time that we're running the restaurant without him. And I just got kind of pushed into that position, hey, you're the next up. And I remember that I was proud and grateful and scared that it fell on me, that I could be a leader in this kitchen that I didn't even know I could be, and so he breaks his leg, right, comes back, we do the service, I'm proud of myself, right, because we did a good job, and he comes back, said, I heard you did great, and we had a menu meeting that night, you know what I mean? He went upstairs, he's like, I gotta go rest, but before we left,